Meta built platforms used by billions. But now, a lawsuit is asking a darker question. What did the company know?
That question now sits at the center of a major legal fight. Plaintiffs say Meta's own systems contributed to serious harms. Meta disputes key claims, but this fight may reach far beyond Meta. The bigger question is whether powerful platforms can be held responsible for harms their own systems may help create.
For 2 decades, we've been sold a massive, seamless story of global connection and community. Meta built some of the most powerful communication platforms in human history. But right now, sitting in a federal courtroom in Oakland, California, the company is being forced to confront a much darker narrative, one that threatens the absolute foundation of the modern internet.
And it all comes down to this single, disturbing contradiction. Did the very systems engineered to connect billions of people actually expose them to severe harms that Meta understood way better than we ever realized? Once you start digging into these courtroom allegations, it stops being just another lawsuit. It becomes a fundamental question of corporate accountability and human safety on a global scale.
Look, the financial stakes here are almost impossible to wrap your head around. $1.4 trillion. That is the upper limit of the damages Meta is staring down right now. Just for context, that number is basically the entire market value of the company. It's not a fine. It's a penalty that would completely gut the empire.
So who actually has the power to threaten a tech giant with $1 trillion reckoning? Well, it's a massive coalition representing nearly 2/3 of the US population. 29 states, from California all the way to New Jersey, are actively suing Meta in federal court. They're using consumer protection laws to argue that the company knowingly deployed a dangerous product, deliberately prioritizing engagement over youth safety. Okay, let's dive into this, because the core accusation the states are making is structural. They aren't just saying social media is generally bad for you. They are asking a terrifying engineering question. How exactly do you build a slot machine out of a social network? The prosecution is arguing that Meta didn't just build an app. They built an attention harvesting machine that completely lacks a stop button.
According to the allegations presented in court, Meta relied on a very specific 4-step playbook. First, you hook. They used infinite scroll to ensure you never hit the bottom of your feed. Second, hold, deploying constant push notifications to trigger dopamine hits and disrupt sleep. Third, harvest. The allegation is they illegally collected data on users under 13 without parental consent. And finally, hide. The states claim Meta deliberately misled the public and Congress about how safe these features actually were. To back this up, prosecutors aren't just making assumptions. They're pulling out Meta's own internal documents. And some of this is chilling. Take an alleged internal study cited in court. The title? "The Young Ones Are the Best Ones." The prosecution claims this is hard proof of a deliberate, company-wide initiative designed to exploit the vulnerabilities of children just to drive engagement.
And the evidence escalates from there, especially with whistleblower testimony. A former Facebook engineering director testified that teens were exposed to violent or graphic content at rates 100 to 400 times higher than what Meta publicly disclosed. On top of that, there's alleged internal knowledge showing they knew Instagram actively worsened thoughts of suicide and self-injury for 13% of the teen girls using the platform. Now, for years, Silicon Valley has managed to essentially settle or dismiss claims exactly like these. But that era, it looks like it's over. We just saw Meta lose a major youth protection trial in New Mexico. This was a concrete court finding where they were held liable for failing to warn users about platform dangers and failing to protect kids from predators. The judge literally stated the company put profits over children's safety. Now, what's really interesting about this is the absolute chaos surrounding the financial fallout of that defeat. When a verdict of this magnitude drops, usually expect a clear, definitive penalty, right? But tracking the actual financial damage here has revealed a completely bizarre media landscape. Just look at the reporting across the major global networks. PBS and CBS reported the New Mexico damages at $375 million. CNN and France 24 had it at $560 million. ABC cited $567, and Sky News, they reported it was over $900 million. This wildly moving target just proves how fast and complex these overlapping legal battles have become, with penalties continuously shifting across different jurisdictions. But here is the crucial twist. Whatever that final number ends up being, Meta is suddenly totally on its own. Shortly after that New Mexico ruling, Meta's insurers sued to avoid covering the damages, and they won.
So that massive financial safety net protecting Mark Zuckerberg's empire simply vanished, leaving the company completely exposed to this incoming flood of litigation. And the flood is definitely arriving. Just a day after the New Mexico ruling, a Los Angeles jury awarded $3 million to a 20-year-old woman who suffered severe depression and self-harm after getting addicted to social media at age 10. And this was a concrete court finding. The jury actually split the liability. 30% went to YouTube and 70% went directly to Meta. It proves courts are now willing to assign strict percentages of blame to tech algorithms.
And this brilliantly illustrates the dividing line of this entire war. On one side, you have states and juries alleging a deliberate, systemic deception of youth. On the other side, you have Meta's official corporate defense. They vehemently deny designing addictive traps. Instead, they argue they offer over 30 safety tools like age verification and private default accounts, and they insist the algorithm is absolutely not trapping users.
When faced with that astronomical $1.4 trillion figure in Oakland, Meta fired back. Their official response is that this number is completely, quote, untethered to any claimed violation. They're saying the states have zero proof anyone was misled, and they characterize the whole lawsuit as an attempt to unfairly penalize one single company for industry-wide challenges that everyone is struggling to navigate.
But honestly, regardless of who is right, the sheer cost of defending this business model is becoming staggering. $2.4 billion. According to recent financial disclosures, Meta burned through $2.4 billion solely on legal expenses in just the second quarter of 2026 alone. We're not talking about research and development here. This is pure defensive cash burn to hold the line against a massive legal siege. It was literally enough to cause a rare dip in the company's quarterly profits.
Let's move out and see how this builds, because this is rapidly escalating into an existential crisis. A massive defeat in New Mexico, a jury verdict in Los Angeles, the 29-state mega trial happening right now, and waiting right behind all of that, an appeals court just ruled that more than 3,000 additional lawsuits filed against Meta, Google, Snap, and TikTok are cleared to proceed. But, the true existential threat to Silicon Valley isn't actually a financial payout. It's the forced redesign of the product itself. The New Mexico judge already ordered an end to overnight push notifications for minors. Globally, the UK and Australia are aggressively pushing full age-based bans. And in California, plaintiffs don't just want money. They are seeking strict court oversight to literally rip apart the algorithm and eliminate the infinite scroll altogether.
Legal experts and state prosecutors are now officially calling this big tech's big tobacco moment. It's that historical comparison to the 1990s, where cigarette companies were forced to pay billions and fundamentally change their marketing because they systematically concealed product harm. The argument here is exactly the same. They knew what the product was doing, they covered it up, and now the era of the unregulated feed is over.
Meta is holding their ground. They claim their products are safe and that they never intentionally built a digital slot machine. But as we watch these historic trials completely unfold, perhaps the most important question isn't for the lawyers or the executives. It's a question for all of us. If the algorithm was truly never designed to trap you, why is it so incredibly hard to put the phone down?